Hi, I'm Meredith Sue Willis, and welcome to Education Roundtable. Tonight, I'm here representing the South Orange Maplewood Community Coalition on Race, and we're going to be talking about one of our wonderful programs, the Integrated Playgroup. And we have as our guests three lovely ladies, Keli Tianga, Jacqueline Celestin, and Shannon Kirk, and everybody's going to get a turn to talk, but I want to begin by welcoming you again and also talking a little bit about the context of all this. The South Orange Maplewood Community Coalition on Race is an organization that has been in existence for more than 20 years, 23 years actually. I was one of the founding members, and I've been a trustee of the organization for many of those years, and I'm also co-chair of the schools committee. Most of you probably have heard of the Coalition on Race. Some of you may not have. If you've not, you need to know that 20 years ago, South Orange and Maplewood, these beautiful, beloved towns, were in a bit of a crisis. There was something going on which we now call white flight. There was a lot of people were deciding that it was a community that they didn't want to invest their lives in, and they were leaving, and people were not happy about this. The two town governments put their money where their mouth is, as it were, and hired an expert on integration, on racial integration, and meanwhile there were grassroots organizations that were working towards the same goal, and they came together to work on making these communities integrated far into the future. People did this for many different reasons. One of the great strengths of this organization, like these two towns, has been for many, many years, and maybe forever, that there are many talents, many types of people. Some of the people were looking to do what they called what they called having the color of green was what they cared about. These were people whose big interest was in their housing values, and they saw their housing values going down. To simplify it really beyond what I should, but the simple version of this is that when only one group or a few groups of people are buying houses in a community, the prices go down because there's no competition. If all colors of people and all ethnic groups of people are competing for homes, then the prices go up. So some people, because their interest, as they said themselves, was in the color of green, were working for this economic benefit to the towns. A lot of the others of us saw this as a moral issue. We came to South Orange Maplewood because we wanted to be living in a integrated community, and so for many of us that was why we were doing this work, and why we've been doing it all these years. The organization from the very beginning had many activities. We did everything from working with realtors to bringing in speakers. The Community Coalition on Race does the beautiful Martin Luther King program every January for 15 or 20 years. We had all sorts of activities, many kinds. And one of our major efforts was always the schools. We formed a committee called the Schools Committee, and one of the co-chairs of that, Carol Berry Austin, has been with it from the very beginning. I have been working with her for many of these years, and we do a ton of interesting things. We've brought in speakers who talk to both the district and the community about the academic achievement gap. We worked on getting more teachers of color in the staff of the schools. We brought in people to do cultural competency training, and we always, every year we have a Board of Ed candidates night that looks at the issues of integration. And on top of all this, we also do a lot of things that are just lovely and fun, including one of the ones, what we're going to focus on tonight, which is the Integrated Playgroup. And I think the best way to do this is not for me to talk anymore, but to actually ask Keli Tianga, who's here with me and is the member of the Schools Committee and a former trustee of the coalition, who actually came up with the idea, and she's going to tell us something about it. If you would, Keli.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Sue. And thanks for having us here this evening to talk about the Integrated Playgroup. So just under 4 years ago, I joined the board of the Community Coalition on Race, and I also became a member of its schools committee. At the time, my husband and I were also parents of a preschool-aged child. Not a preschool-aged child anymore, but was a preschool-aged child at the time. And we were meeting lots of other parents who were moving to town for a myriad of reasons, including its diversity, which is why we also moved to town over a decade ago. So I was kind of in the play date mode because of her age at the time, and I had this idea just to have a little experiment and see what happened when we took people who had a mind for diversity and a spirit and a heart for diversity, and to take that and take it to the next level, and basically have a play group of people who wanted to put diversity into action and create like integration. So with the schools committee's blessing, I started a Facebook page. We created a couple of flyers and posted them in the local libraries and started. And so that was just over almost 4 years ago now. We're in our third year. We started with 3 or 4 families that came to that first play group, and it's been growing ever since.
Wonderful. Why don't you introduce the people you brought with you?
So who I brought with me this evening is Jacqueline Celestin, who is a member of the playgroup and a mom, and Shannon Kirk, who's also a member of the playgroup and also a mom. And Shannon actually was one of the families who came to the very first playgroup.
Hi. Thank you for having us and for including me on this session. Actually, I joined the playgroup several years ago as well, and I actually came to know about it because of one of my neighbors in the building that we were in. We were new to Maplewood, and shortly there, after some time, I found out we were pregnant and we're going to have a child. And next thing you know, everything goes so fast. You have this kid, and I'm like, okay, well, where do the moms go? Where do the kids meet up? Like, how do I get plugged in so that, I can be where stuff's happening, with like-minded people? And my neighbor is such a sweetie. They have 2 young ones at the time. They were really young. And she and her partner, her wife, told me, you know what, you should sign up for this playgroup. They were amazing. They were just, I feel like mentors, kind of ushering me through this new phase in life. And they told me, this is the Soma integrated playgroup, and you should join. And the only requirement is you bring someone who doesn't look like you. And I was like, wow, what a tagline. That sounds amazing. And I just thought like, wow, that is really, really something I want to be a part of. So signed up for the Facebook page, and when I saw the schedule come out, when the next play group was going to be meeting, I couldn't wait to show up and got my little one all bundled up and up the stairs, and it was great, just to see the energy of like-minded people who really just wanting to get to know each other and have their kids know each other, and just very relaxed, very thoughtful. The kids get to go and play, and the parents get to talk and network and commiserate, and it was absolutely lovely. I've been addicted ever since.
And I'm Shannon Kirk. Thank you so much for including me in this. So yes, I started in, I guess, one of the very first meetings, and when I heard about it, I knew that it was definitely something that I wanted to be a part of. The diversity is what drew me to Maplewood, and I was here for a few years before I had my family. But I also realized pretty quickly that I had to be very intentional, especially as a white parent of white children, in how I was raising my children if I wanted them to kind of, to raise them in a race-conscious kind of way. I had to be intentional. And so this group was amazing because it really was people that were going to get together for the purpose of, kind of working against the living next to someone but not knowing them,
Right.
and to really be able to get to know everyone in the town and have meaningful relationships with people from all different backgrounds. And so that's what really drew me and my family to it. And now my girls are big and one's almost aging out, so it's kind of wild.
Before we take a short break, I thought this might be a good time to say, what are some of the mechanics of it? Jacqueline said something about bundling up her little one and going up the stairs. Where is that with the stairs?
So we're really fortunate to have a local preschool host us. The name of the school is Le Parc, and it's in the heart of Maplewood. It is up a flight of stairs. But as parents of little ones with lots of gear and stuff, folks for the most part, are and because we run year round, sometimes you're bundling them up with lots of stuff, and other times you're just walking up the stairs with with sandals and shorts on. But yeah, at a local preschool.
So it's in a local preschool, and again the mechanics, how often, what hours, that kind of thing.
So we meet once a month on a Saturday, and we have a set schedule that that we share in the Facebook group and in flyers around town. It is come when you can. No one ever feels obligated. I think both Shannon and Jacqueline mentioned that it's a very casual, relaxed setting, which is something that was really important to me. As a parent of a younger child, we have a lot of obligations and we have a lot of things and many moving parts that we're trying to juggle, and I never wanted the playgroup to feel like it was something that someone had to RSVP for and then commit to an RSVP. Folks come, at the tail end. They come at the beginning, they stay for the 2 hours. Oh, so like you did ask, so Saturday, it's on a Saturday, once a month from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And yes, so parents are welcome to come in and leave, come for 20 minutes, stay for 2 hours. It's up to them.
And I have visited it, and it is such a wonderful, wonderful place to be and thing to do. So you can get information from the website. You can also get information about it on the Community Coalition's website, which is now www.communitycoalitiononrace.org. communitycoalitiononrace.org, and they have a lot of information, including the dates. I think we are going to take a short break now. I'm Meredith Sue Willis with people who from the integrated play group of the Coalition on Race, Keli Tianga, Jacqueline Celestin, and Shannon Kirk, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Chef Patty here. Why should you include avocados as part of your family's balanced diet? It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Number 1.
Avocados fill you up.
Avocados contain unsaturated fats, good fats your body needs to help with the absorption of key nutrients.
Me hungry right now.
Number 2.
Avocados are good for you.
Avocados are naturally cholesterol and sodium free, plus they contain nearly 20 vitamins and nutrients.
Me need vitamins and nutrients. And number 3, avocado delicious.
Try avocados in place of ingredients higher in saturated fat. Avocados taste great in sandwiches, salads, and even in baked goods like cookies.
Avocado cookies. This match made in heaven.
Welcome back to Education Roundtable. I'm Meredith Sue Willis here tonight with Keli Tianga, Jacqueline Celestin, and Shannon Kirk, and we're talking about a program of the South Orange Maplewood Community Coalition and its schools committee called the Integrated Playground. Everything the Coalition on Race in South Orange Maplewood does has as its eventual aim the stable and continuing integration and and everything we do, we have some sense of consciousness of race and the history of America. But in this case, we're talking about simply bringing, well, not so simply, because it has taken a lot of work, but bringing together children in an integrated play group, preschoolers. And I'm going to turn back to the guests and ask about how some of the things that have actually happened, because we've now been going for 4 years. And I mean, I have visited it, and I was always impressed. There always turned out to be some oranges and some snacks and whatnot. And so what are some of the things that happen at those play dates, Jacqueline?
Oh my, let me see. Gosh, it's so much fun. I know initially when I brought my son, he was quite shy, so he would basically attach himself to me during the sessions. So I'd be having a conversation with a parent, and my son would just be right there. And I remember the transition. It happened month after month after month. He would attach, and then slowly but surely, he would venture just a little bit further away, and next thing I know, I know he's around somewhere playing. And you always, and the other thing is, the parents are so awesome. The parents are constantly keeping an eye. Our kids are okay. The child is constantly just, in a very safe environment, a very fun environment. Parents are networking. I'm talking about, okay, where do you go for your pediatrician? Where do you just constantly having this discourse about just how wonderful it is to be here. Where do you live, and where do you go for this, that, and the other thing? So it's really, really wonderful, and I feel I have to echo the sentiments that were discussed here in terms of the diversity, the inclusion, the energy that people bring. It's infectious and it's wonderful. It's so lovely to be there. I can't speak more highly of it.
For me, one thing that I was thinking is that as my kids have gotten older, there's people who have also aged out, maybe, like I still have a little one, so we're still like present, and Cora's still 6, so she's still like, she can still hang. But when we started going to school, I've reconnected with people who I met initially at the playgroup. And it's just awesome to see somebody, like you walk into Seth Boyden, don't know that many people yet. And it's like, oh, I know you, and I know that you're like-minded. And I feel like that's been really cool, is like, it goes beyond just those Saturdays once a month. It's definitely like connected me to different people, and those connections have grown and continued. So
it really
that's
is
great.
Partly for the adults, it sounds like. I mean, you're getting.
Oh no, it's
yes,
it's well, and part of what Shannon knows and what Jacqueline knows is, I do a little spiel usually at every play group meeting. And also, just really quickly to go back, we're in a preschool, and so it's kind of tailor-made for parents to feel comfortable letting their children run off and play, because everything is geared toward children and their safety. So we're not, out in a playground or any place where someone might feel uncomfortable, taking their eye off their child. But the whole idea of the playgroup is to really model the kinds of relationships that we want our children to have for them, and for them to see it just playing out in a natural, casual setting, to see people of different races and appearances, different types of families, just casually socializing and having fun together. And so, my dream has always been that people will forge friendships that they will carry out, beyond the playgroup. And I think that for the most part, there have been people who have. I know I have.
Have you?
And I know from others who've absolutely met folks that they've then made plans with outside of the playgroup to get together. And that's to me is the coalition's mission in action.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that. Is there, have there been any challenges of any kind? I mean, everything I've heard is generally, and when I've been there, it's exactly as you're describing, a very happy place with the little people playing with each other and climbing their mother's legs or whatever. But if someone from another town, say, were looking to do something similar, what would you warn them about?
I think what I would warn them about is something that Shannon mentioned earlier, is about the real intentional aspect of this. So it isn't necessarily, telling your next door neighbor about it. If your next door neighbor looks just like you, that's great. That is absolutely wonderful. But what the idea is to invite someone who does not look like you. So, whether that person is black or Hispanic or Asian, or in a hijab or anything, those are the things that we feel you really have to be intentional about, because we tend to socialize with people who do share our same interests, and in a suburban town like Maplewood, South Orange, people tend to have, some people have, similar interests and come from different backgrounds, and come from similar backgrounds rather. And so we just need to be very purposeful in reaching out to people and making sure that we're including everyone in this, in the work. And it is really truly work. Once we get together, we have fun, but there is a real intentionality about it that we're trying to achieve in integration. And that's where we stress the difference between diversity and integration.
Maybe you could say a little more about that. People tend to use those words as if they meant the same thing.
Right. So we have a lot of folks actually who come from the New York City area, and in meeting new people who come to the playgroup, folks will say, well, I came from New York City, and so we wanted that same kind of diversity. And I said, well, there's a difference between diversity and integration. And diversity, and part of the little spiel that my children who are going to watch this are going to laugh at me because they've heard me do this at the playgroup. But to just kind of, as an example, diversity is, moving to a town because you walk down the street, or on your block that, oh yes, next door we have a Korean American family that lives next door, and down the block there's an Indian American family, and across the street there's an African American family, and so it's diverse, and we like to look out our window and see that diversity walking by and maybe even waving to it sometimes. But for us, integration is being able to say, oh, well, their son is coming over for a sleepover tonight, or we're having dinner with the family across the street next weekend. That is putting those things into action and modeling it for our children, so that we move beyond race and difference and ethnicity. Does not become, it should never be something that's tolerated. It should never be something that's a burden. It should always be celebrated and appreciated. And so that's the intention.
Good, but I appreciate your making the point about the intentionality of it, which is what which is what people in South Orange Maplewood at least aspire to. We don't always make it. Anything else that is happening at the integrated playgroup that we might want to also mention?
The book.
Yes.
So I after being part of the playgroup for a little while, I joined the Soma Justice leadership team, and another member who was part of both approached me with the idea of starting a preschool book club. That's Nicole Pivnik-Goldberg, and she approached me, and we thought, we could do a preschool book club where we're specifically finding books that center and affirm people of color, and also, LGBTQ families, and we're talking about gender and all sorts of issues, and how to use those books to start these conversations with your kids. And we thought that the playgroup would be the perfect place for it. So we approached Keli, and we're so happy to be in partnership with that. So now we kind of, every other month, come in and visit for that. So it's really cool.
So in spite of the casualness, which is how you describe it, and the having fun and the meeting people and the finding out who the good pediatricians are and all those things, the intentionality consists of inviting your neighbor who does not look like you. It means coming with some books and preparing and having the stories hour with the children and everything, and that's a really, really nice mix of things. Actually, I just wanted to quickly plug another program of the Schools Committee. We're having one of our, I think it's going to be our, maybe our 4th or 5th Talking to Children About Race program. It's going to be a Tuesday evening, March 26th, and it will be at Tuscan School at 7:30, and there'll be a speaker, there'll be a panel, and we're going to be covering practical strategies for talking to children at home about race, and this is going to be not for preschoolers only, but for everybody. It's going to focus mostly on the little ones through elementary school right up to middle school. So we hope people will come out for that. It should be a lot of fun. We have just a very little bit of time left. So what's the future for the integrated play group now that Kelly's children are aging out and laughing at her when she goes on television?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I hope that I have every intention of it continuing, and so my hope is that that a parent kind of comes forward and at some point wants to take over the regular running of the play group. I would love for us to expand. I would love for us to visit other towns and maybe talk to folks about starting their own play groups.
Do you know, has anybody ever done this? I mean, you have to do this, speak of this in the context of how few communities intentionally integrate anyway.
Right.
But do you know of anything comparable?
I don't. I mean, I think there probably are play groups that are just naturally integrated, but in terms of the intentionality of it, I don't. So we hope that if there are, that maybe we can all we can form a we can form our own coalition. But yes, that is the goal, is to just
go
continue
beyond
and then to go beyond South Orange Maplewood.
Do you welcome people, and this is just an informational question, people from outside of the two towns?
We do, and we have.
Occasionally you do get people?
Yeah.
I
We
bring
have
my
people
little
from
granddaughter
surrounding
from Los Angeles?
Yes, we welcome people from other towns and other counties and other states. And as you know, we have grandparents who come. I think at our last play date last weekend, we had 3 grandparents in attendance, which is always really wonderful and special, because I think it also speaks to the nature, the welcoming nature of the play group, that everyone comes.
Well, I'm just delighted to hear all of this and to have you here tonight. And I want to thank, I'll go in reverse order this time, Shannon Kirk, Jacqueline Celestin, and the person who put the play group together, Keli Tianga. And I'm Meredith Sue Willis from the Schools Committee of the South Orange Maplewood Community Coalition on Race. And thank you for joining us at Education Roundtable.